Hey guys, welcome to our weekly Bacon Cast series. I'll be your host this week. My name is Francis. Joining me is Nick,
Hello, everyone.
Darcy,
Greetings.
and Thomas.
And salutations.
Great. So, how are you guys doing this week?
Fantastic.
Pretty damn good.
I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
Sound like you're lying.
Who, me or Darcy?
All of you guys are lying.
It was St. Patrick's Day week. It was an awesome week. What are you talking about?
All right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Wait. The
What game are
8-year-old
we-
doesn't know anything about St. Patty's Day?
No.
What?
Wait, what's St. Patty's Day? What? Isn't that where you like wear red or something?
red.
All right.
I hope you don't have any Irish blood on you.
I do. 1/8.
Oh my god.
Wait, no, 1/4. 1/4.
You're 1/4 Irish and you still aren't celebrating St. Patty's Day.
No, I was. I'm not. I wore all red.
I was meaning more of enjoying yourself with beverages.
Yep, all the illegal alcohols.
It's not illegal if you're given it
I know.
by parents.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you drink it in your own house, it's actually allowed, and you have like parent permission.
Yep.
All right.
It's just you're not allowed to drink like outside in public until you're 21.
No shit.
Like, can you even do that after you're 21? Like, isn't that
Yeah.
like public
Yeah.
drunkenness or something?
No.
Well, no. You can.
Like I mean at like bars and stuff and like restaurants.
Yeah, you can't, like, most places they have the public intoxication, but you can drink in public. Like, there's different cities and states and stuff that allow open containers, so you can just go walking down the street with a beer.
What's the
walking
point
in
of a paper
street.
bag?
That's for the cities that don't allow open containers.
No, you got to put it in like a water bottle or something.
Yep. I drink rum and Coke, so what you could do is you take Coke, drink some of it, put rum in there, and you're good. It looks just the same.
What kind of Coke are you okay, whatever.
What kind of Coke are you drinking? Rum and Coke.
What game are we looking at today?
Sanctum 2. It's a little older, a couple of years.
Last
But-
update's 13 months ago.
Yeah,
I
but
thought it said last patch was 2014.
Okay, it was December 2014. So sorry,
Yeah.
15 months ago.
yeah, 15 months ago. But it's a fun game. Gonna play it, show you all some stuff. Also kind of test run it, see if there's interest. We may use it in a let's play later on. So it's it can do 4-player co-op, so
Ooh.
should be pretty fun.
What kind of game is it?
It's a first-person shooter tower defense game. So
What?
every person
First
controls.
person-
Yeah, everyone controls a person, and it's like a first-person shooter. You run around, jump around, shoot people. But the enemies spawn in waves, and you build the walls and like the turrets and stuff. So part of the game is knowing which combo of turrets to use, and then it's also how to maximize the use of the space to create the most efficient like zigzag possible. Obviously, the longer it takes the monsters to get to the core, the more time guns have to shoot at them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's got a little bit more of a strategic element to your normal tower defense game.
I was a really big fan of defense games back during the early smartphone days.
Back in my
Um,
day.
First generation iPod, iPhone days. Like that stuff was great. And I know exactly what you're talking about, where you have to like plot your turrets and your walls so that the enemies, the monsters, they path a certain way so that you maximize your efficiency.
Is the only limit on towers you can place based on ground space, or is there some other resource or capacity?
There is a like per round resource or per wave resource. So it is kind of like Dungeon Defenders. When you play co-op, you share it. So you start off kind of small, know what you need immediately, and then by the end of the game, you just have one crazy ass maze, sort of.
Speaking of Dungeon Defenders, I mean, we recorded a Let's Play for that, but we never released it. So we are familiar with it a little bit.
Where are we? What's happening here? Who are these
Where are my
people?
shoes?
So I don't know if you guys can
Dave,
see
I'm
this.
afraid.
Yeah, so if you guys can read that, it says, Dave, I'm afraid I can't let you do that. Anyone know what that's a reference to?
2001.
Yep, the HAL computer. So
Yep.
it's a nifty little Easter egg right off the bat in this game. There's actually quite a few of them. So when I come across them, if I notice them, I'll point them out. But yeah, nice little throwback to Space Odyssey.
What are you in this game? Are you a robot? Are you a person? Alien?
3 of the characters are human. One of them's a robot.
Is it bad that I don't know what Space Odyssey is?
Yes.
Were you even born in 2001?
Yeah. Okay, that's
Barely.
He's barely
so-
born? How are you
You're
barely born?
you're already on the map. I thought this was like a lobby or something.
No, this is the first level.
Wait, so is this single player mode? Because I think I
Uh,
said it was 4-person.
It can be. This is the introductory tutorial level.
Oh, okay.
Run, Forrest,
Well, that's cool.
run!
That guy reminds me of one of those small dudes from Halo. I forgot what they're called.
What if you sit here
The
forever
little
if he ever
baby
catches
guys.
him?
Actually, it reminds me of a short
I doubt it.
stormtrooper from Star Wars, like the big metal chunky ones, like a short one of those.
Metal chunky ones?
Alright, so
you know,
The metal chunky
No,
stormtroopers.
I don't know.
I think he's meaning the droids that fire with their right arm.
yeah, that thing.
alright, so so this is
Okay, forget it.
this is the core. It's what you're defending. The red line is where enemies are coming, and so now I can build. So currently I only have wall sections and guns. So
Okay.
this is where planning out, like, all right, what's the most efficient use of this space?
Nick, build that wall.
What's the story behind this game? Is it just aliens are attacking?
Yeah, pretty
Shoot
much.
them. All right. So I'm sure there's some kind of overarching story. Like, is it like Doom, where you guys tried to access another dimension on another planet, and then it opened a portal, and then aliens start coming through?
I have no idea.
I speak of Doom because Doom's been releasing a lot of trailers, multiplayer and single player.
Wait, so
Are you
if
gonna ask
this
what is
was-
Doom?
No. I don't know what Doom is, so I wasn't gonna ask. But if
Are you
this
kidding me?
if this is a 4-person thing, would there be more enemies then, or just you get farther in levels?
Um,
And you just crushed a guy with your.
yeah, it happens. You shouldn't have been standing there. Actually, I fucked up. Shit.
Yeah, that looks kind of weird. You should.
I was gonna zig back up. Oh, too late.
Yeah,
This-
yeah.
Can you
It's
destroy
out
a
in
wall
space.
like the one?
I can, but there's no. This level is easy, so. It's, What was I gonna say now?
Do a barrel
Gameplay feels
roll?
really choppy. I feel like vomiting.
We were talking about
Doom.
and how I don't know what it is. Is that what you're talking about?
And Thomas
Doom.
was gonna ask something, and then I kind of cut him off.
Do you know what? Have you heard of Wolfenstein? Because they did come out with.
Oh my
new
God.
game.
Yeah,
5 years
no,
ago.
I have heard of Wolfenstein. I
Unde.
was thinking about getting it, but I didn't
Have you heard of Quake?
think so. It sounds familiar. Don't ask me what the game's about though.
What would you do if I said I had balls of steel?
Test them out.
I don't even get
What?
the reference. What is that a reference
Wait,
to?
what?
What?
Was that you're upgrading your turrets?
Yeah.
That's cool.
This game actually looks kind of fun.
So, anyways, Doom is a first-person shooter that came out in the early '90s. Sorry, on the PC. It actually came on floppy disks, which. Kinda
What
cool.
is
I
even
remember.
a floppy disk?
You know that save button? How it looks like a square with.
I
a
know
middle?
what a floppy disk is. Okay, I was trying to be funny.
No,
It's hard to tell with your
Oh.
like youngness.
Youngness.
That's not funny.
Yes.
Well, there's actually 2 types of floppy disks. The initial
No,
floppy
there were
disk was
more than 2. The
The
big
initial
ones,
yeah,
floppy
if you
disks were
take-
huge.
yeah, they were a foot wide.
Right. Well, those floppy disks.
You talk about the 5 1/4s.
Oh,
The-
what the fuck?
Yeah, 5 1/4s. I remember using those in school. Mainly for games, though. I remember just being in school playing games on those things. Not really. We had other discs that had other programs on them, like word processors and stuff, but we were just like, whatever, just put in some games, have some fun. But anyways, yeah. So Doom is actually a very early version of first-person shooter that was really popular back in its time. Then they came out with Doom 2. You know what? We'll probably do a Doom either podcast or let's play or let's watch or whatever eventually, and you'll see what it is. But it's a first person shooter. The story is there's a corporation, I can't remember the corporation's name. They open a portal on Mars to some other dimension, and that turns into it's apparently a hell dimension, and demons start pouring through this portal. They basically massacre everyone on this Mars base, and they send you in because you're some elite marine. And
Because
you're
y'all
basically,
special.
well, in a good way, special in a good way. And you just go in there and destroy all the demons. You go into the demon dimension, you kill their monster dude, and close the portal. And I think it's sort of left in the air whether you live or die, right? Does it actually say?
Wouldn't that be down to the player experience?
Well, no. I remember, like at the very end, they give you a wall of text when you finish the last boss, and I can't remember if it says whether you live or you died.
Well, I mean, if you really want to download it, I'm sure it would take you a split second.
What is that code? Am I gonna get a cheat code?
It's 6x.
They So there's a
What is that?
website. There's a website where you go and you put in these codes, and it's just they give some like behind the scenes stuff of making the game, but they're
That's
like
cool.
spread out throughout the entire game, and so it's like a little mini game to collect all the codes.
Why did
so
they
it's-
just put that into the game?
I googled it. It doesn't have any search results.
I don't remember. It's like the name of the company that like I don't know. Is there the name of the company anywhere on anything?
I need to look away from the game because I feel like vomiting when I'm watching this game. There's some stuttering with it, and
Yeah, it's not the smoothest.
Okay, so what are they doing in this lab anyway, other than like giving acupuncture to some alien?
Acupuncture. Yeah, I mean they basically are.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess they hit a nerve that they weren't supposed to hit because he's definitely not okay. Bright tech.
you're studying them, yo. It's like in Starship Troopers where you gotta like poke and prod the alien to show that it's vulnerable at its brainstem.
The more you know.
Brytech.
Would you like to know more?
Oh, that's like a real company. Holy moly.
Good reference, bro. Good reference.
All right, so here's a really fun little Easter egg. So you guys listening?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just saw something explode.
What the hell?
Wait, what did he say?
Nice.
Fly, you
I was-
fools.
I don't get it.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
man, what's wrong with you?
Is there a banish button for this podcast?
Yeah, I think at this point we shouldn't even be surprised, but that is actually pretty surprising to me for some reason.
Wait, what is it? Someone explain.
Are you serious?
Maybe I'll remember once you actually tell me.
Lord of the Rings. Gandalf is hanging off of the bridge of
How's it doing?
it's Carthras or something. Anyways, he's hanging off the bridge and was broken by the Balrog, and he looks at Frodo, says, "Fly, you fools," and then falls down, and he battles the Balrog all the way down into the bowels of the earth. And that's when he gets reborn into Gandalf the White.
Oh. I don't remember that. I've watched all the Lord of the Rings too, so
Apparently not.
I have. I just,
Right?
I don't remember
then
those
you're-
little things.
You're watching movies wrong then.
Is there a right way to watch movies?
Yeah, you after you watch the movie, you remember what happened.
That movie was so old. That's like 10 years ago.
Were you even born back then?
Yes, I was. No, it wasn't 10 years. When was that? When was it?
No, you're right. It's about 10 years ago. I think it's
Oh,
a
wait,
little
really?
over 10 years at this point. It's like 12 years for the first movie.
Wow. That was just a ballpark guess.
You know what a ballpark is?
Yeah.
Kids don't play balls and you play with balls these days. They play with video games.
Yeah, who goes outside anymore?
That is so true. I was thinking about this like a couple months ago where I remember as a kid, I'd go outside and there'd be like, you know, kids in the street playing like ball hockey or something. And I'd be like, hey, you guys need another? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, join in. And I'd grab my hockey stick from the house and go and play some ball hockey on the street, right? Does that
Yeah.
even happen nowadays?
I used to do stuff like that maybe like 4 years ago, but not anymore.
So it still happens
one-
though.
Every once in a while, maybe like twice a year.
All right. That's good to know. I mean, I just feel like everyone's at home these days. The community is dead because everything is
are.
just deliveries and internet, and everyone's in front of their computers or televisions or tablets or whatever. Well, that's a whole other topic, and I have this whole rant with, you know, in real life, you sort of have to act a certain way to fit in. So you have to change yourself. You have to be like sort of semi-acceptable. You can't be a jackass all the time. But when you're online, you can be as much of a jackass as you want, and you can find other jackasses to be a jackass with you instead of instead of improving yourself or making yourself less of a jackass.
Yeah, so then
So
when you
you're
go out
saying-
into the public, you're acting the same way.
You're saying that the internet cultivates jackassery?
You haven't noticed that?
I have noticed that, but
Exactly.
it's just laid out flat and right in front. Yep.
What do you mean?
I mean, you just said it straight up. It's just the internet cultivates jackassery. That's essentially it. There's no hinting. It's not letting
Well,
anybody else
you-
come to their own conclusion, but it's just like straight up. It's there. And yes, I agree.
Yep. It's harsh reality. So I mean we can touch on some game news right now. So let's go to game news. Sony announced that they're releasing or they're toying with the idea of releasing a PlayStation 4.5, which is not the official name for it. It's basically an upgraded version of the PS4 that could support 4K.
They should just call it the PS4K.
It would get really confusing though. 'cause
Why
you're
is
just
it
adding
confusing?
one letter to it?
Right, but it enables 4K support on the PlayStation 4, so I don't know why that would confuse people.
Well, I don't know why like 4.5 would confuse people, or 4.1, or even PlayStation 5. Why don't they just call it PlayStation 5?
I think they save those big revision numbers when the operating system is significantly changed. If they're running the same games, then it's a little different. Because, I mean, there's usually compatibility issues every time they change it. Because, I mean, your PS2 could not, or sorry, there were changes between the PS1 and the PS2. I remember you actually had to get all new memory cards.
Right. A lot of that has to do with their decision to make that change, because it's not that they couldn't have put the hardware in to support those old memory cards. It's they wanted to make more money, so you buy new memory cards. And the current generation of hardware for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is x86 based. So technically, even if they release the PlayStation 5, they could still use the same operating system on it, as long as they stick with the x86 architecture for their next system.
But why
Which I
would they
think they will.
switch off? Because, I mean, everything's x86 and Microsoft
Exactly.
is pretty well there. They've partnered with Intel.
I think these days, even a lot of phones are running x86 with Intel processors. At least Android phones. There's a lot of ARM-based processors still for phones as well.
Right, but if they unify all hardware on, like if you had the same hardware running your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, that means that you can run the same software on everything.
It would mean that it's possible to run the same instruction sets, but not necessarily the same software,
They'll,
because that would depend on the operating system.
right, but the operating system is a type of software. So I mean, if you could
Sure.
run,
But
if you
it's
had
like
the
saying
same,
that you could run like Mac programs on a regular PC, which is
Yeah.
technically true if you installed, Hackintosh, which is the Mac OS, blah blah blah, and then you installed the software you want to run. Sure. Anyways, yeah, I agree with you. I just think that when they released the PS4, we knew that the PlayStation 4 was underpowered. They knew it as well. Sony knew it.
every console is
they just-
underpowered when it comes out. They're meant to price
That's
match.
not true.
Well, okay.
Do you remember
sorry,
the cell processor on the PlayStation 3?
how did that
that
compare
was-
to computer hardware of the day?
It was better than computer hardware at the day, in
Really?
its day. Yes.
And where is it now? That
in
technology.
terms of what?
like that
Not-
technology.
Like, not to call you out there, but how's that possible? Because game systems are in development for a while. So it's not like, and there's constantly new computer hardware coming out. So how is it? It's not like they were like, okay, we're going to design, whoops. It's not like they're going to design it and be like, okay, we're going to design all this and put the processor in at the last second as it's on its way out the door to the shelf.
you're talking about the PlayStation 3?
Yeah.
Where did that technology go?
Any console system, it's in development, right, for 2 years, and then it gets produced, and then it hits the shelf. It's not like it's gonna sit there, and they're gonna develop it, and at the very last second, they're gonna throw in whatever the most recent brand new hardware is into the console. Like, that's not how anything's developed.
Right, I agree with you. They usually send the developers dev kits with that similar hardware, which has already sort of been stabilized at that point, like a year before release. But there's no reason why they can't put in a new CPU. But for the PS3, they had a custom PowerPC Cell architecture CPU that was specifically designed to maximize graphics potential on the PlayStation 3. And at the time of its release, it was basically on par with some pretty beefy PC hardware. And if you guys remember, the PlayStation 3 lost money on every console they sold for like the first year or two.
Why?
Because they would take a loss on the hardware, but they would earn money selling games, which
Yeah,
actually
makes
worked out
sense.
for them at the end.
Right, because
Whereas-
a lot of people don't actually price in the price of every game when you're thinking about buying a console. Yeah, sure, the console only costs $300, but you can get a decent computer for $600. Much better hardware usually. But people don't take into consideration that every game they buy is like 40, 50, 60 bucks. I remember buying a PS2 game that was 80 bucks. And I only bought a couple PS2 games because it got really ridiculous.
Was it Final Fantasy
Yeah.
with like 4 discs?
No, it was they used DVDs with PS2.
Which one?
Final Fantasy X or X2. They used DVDs. It was Final Fantasy 8 and 9 were the ones on CD-ROMs. Those had a lot of discs.
Right.
Final Fantasy 7 had 3 CDs.
Well, that doesn't make sense. I'd only imagine that you'd pay more for a game if it had more discs.
I think it was just Final Fantasy was a brand name that everyone would get. They were really expensive when they came out. Yeah. But that's the thing is, going back to it, is the price point for consoles is much higher than PCs, even if you think that consoles are cheaper because the initial purchase is cheaper.
Whoa, game break.
And I think people forget that every game that's sold for a console, the console maker actually takes a cut of that. Whereas, let's say you, the same way it goes for PC games. If you distribute your own PC game, you can take all your profit as a developer, unless you post on like Steam or some other content provider.
Wait, how did you get it out there?
It's a glitch in the wall.
Nice.
How's like the door didn't open?
Bro, man, what can I say?
You're wall hacking.
All the wall hacks.
Going back to PlayStation 4, like when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One first came out, they were already taking a profit on the hardware, which tells me that they weren't putting as much stuff into the hardware of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And there were a couple articles back during the release that compared the PS4 to a modern day smartphone. And when it came down to raw processing power, they were basically equivalent to smartphones at the time. I'm sure if you look at the Galaxy S7 Edge that was released this month, it's probably faster than PS4 in terms of like logical processing power. Obviously, the PS4 has a beefier graphics processor, but yeah, it's kind of depressing to see that like a smartphone has more power than a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but I mean, I have a PlayStation 4 and I use it sometimes, but I mostly use my computer just because.
PC Master Race.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is one day you're just going to walk your cell phone near your TV, connect it by Bluetooth, and it's going to be your console with controller. And then you're going to link it with your buddy's smartphone, and the processing power is going to go up, and you're going to play multiplayer games. You're going to end up
We're
with a better
already
system.
headed in that direction.
Right. So, I mean, consoles, what you're saying is consoles are going to be dying out, whether they want them to or not.
I wouldn't say consoles are dying out, but maybe the set-top box version of the consoles
Right.
might be dying out. But I still think there's a place for them right now and in the near future. Because playing games on your phone, it just doesn't have the same experience as playing games on your big television with the proper graphics processor and great graphics. The phones are still not there yet. And we basically need developers to just take up the slack, I guess. Take mobile gaming more seriously. I don't even want to call it mobile gaming. I want to call it like...
Let's touch back on what we were saying, where is all hardware, if they all run the x86 architecture, could run the same operating system, the same software, the same games. You have every device capable of running every program, then you don't need to develop a game for a phone. You develop a game for your PC, and then you play it on your phone. You could take those pre-existing like game developers, they don't even have to learn anything new to run it on a different operating system, and they could be making games. They could be making console games or games that we would play on our computer consoles, our cell phone consoles in a few years.
You're 100% right. If you look at Unity or Unreal Engine, as long as the graphics are not exceeding the hardware, so you're not putting 4K textures and using like tessellation and all these advanced effects, you can run a lot of games you create on Unreal Engine 4 on your phone itself. It's literally just a compile option, whether you want to compile it for Android, iOS, or PC, or Linux, or whatever.
Right, but give it a few years and you won't even have to have that compile option. It's just going to be simply compile. And then it's like, okay, now what device am I going to play this on today? And then give
I
it
think
a
that's
few more
going to
years.
take a little more than a
That's-
few years. That's an
that's-
industry problem right there.
Well, no, that's what Microsoft's doing right now with their Universal Windows platform.
Well, Steam's been trying to do a universal platform for years. I mean,
Like it's, from what I was reading, it's pretty much done, and developers can start producing on it, and that's the whole concept. Is you make one game and it's available on anything, as long but if it's a high end game or whatever, you need the graphics to be able to handle it. But
Well,
the game will run. Like that's
you're saying that it's universal software support for all Microsoft products, and it's going to be dependent on if you have the hardware to physically run.
pretty much, yeah. Like that's the whole idea behind it, and it's like here, it's not like this is what we want to do in the future. Like this is what we're working on now, and it's pretty close to being live. Like
I like that idea mainly because you'd be able to run PC games on your phone and phone games on your PC,
Without emulation. Oh my God.
right.
and PC games on your console
Oh,
games.
what'd I
on your-
do?
Like I would love that, but I'm not sure if that's exactly like. I don't think you'd be able to run console games on your PC. I think that's completely different subject, right? I haven't read the article you have, so I mean,
Well, no, I mean
me know.
that's like their idea to like the other reason why they want to do it is the whole concept of you would only need to buy a
cross-platform
game,
compatibility.
right? And you would only need to buy a game once. So, let's say Halo, for example, you would buy a version of Halo. You could then play it on your. Man, I gotta think.
Don't hurt yourself.
You would then be able to play it on your Xbox, right? Or you could play it on your PC. It doesn't matter because you own the game. And then also it would allow for the cross-platform. So if you wanted to do, you own a PC and none of your buddies do because they're peasants, you would be able to still play with each other.
They actually did that with Portal 2. Do you guys remember with Portal 2, if you bought the PlayStation 3 version, they gave you a Steam code inside the case for the game that you can apply to your Steam account to have Portal 2 on PC. And Portal 2 on the PS3 and PC could play together.
You see, even if the two programs running on the different operating systems are different, if they actually have the same physics, it could be done, especially if the game isn't fast-paced and dependent on everybody, like, I don't know, if the game's not too intense, you should be able to run it and transfer the data between the two games. Even if you have them, like, as long as they're speaking the same language to communicate the data, you should be able to run it. It should be theoretically possible. Yeah, never mind. Disregard me.
No, I got you. So Snipe brought up running apps on the console and running console games on PC. That kind of brings up Windows, I forget what it's called, Windows Continuum, I think it is, where you can plug HDMI into your phone and it basically turns into a full computer. It can drive a 1080p display. You get a desktop layout with all of your phone applications, and you could run anything that can run on your phone in full screen on a monitor or a television.
Okay, so they're pretty well at the point where you could be using your phone as your console.
Right.
Just because, I mean, what you were saying is our phones are as powerful as a PS4 now.
In terms of processing power, but not graphics processing, like raw processing.
Yeah, but that's the next logical step.
I mean, the phones are still pretty damn powerful today, considering like I used to use like a a 486 or 386, like with 30 hertz or some shit, like, or 30 megahertz or something like that.
Oh my god.
I mean, I remember you remember like back in the 486 days, there was like a turbo button you can press, which like boosted it up from like to like 60 megahertz or something. And you're like, this is amazing. Always have it on turbo.
Well, now they have that turbo button, but it's bringing it up to full speed. It's just they underclock everything now for distribution.
Which makes a lot more sense.
Right. There's a lot of stability issues are solved when you underclock things.
You can also have you can introduce stability issues if you underclock too much. That's another story.
Right. Everything in moderation.
Except water.
You still need to moderate how much water you take.
Yeah, I brought that up because we were talking about
Yeah,
dying by drinking too much water, whether it was possible or not.
it is possible.
Right. There's a term for it, like hydro something.
Yeah, I remember we discussed it, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah,
But yeah,
basically,
it's-
like it thins out your blood, and you eventually, like, you feel like you're drunk, and you eventually die.
Yeah, definitely doesn't sound pleasant.
I assume it feels like you're drowning, or maybe it does feel pleasant. Maybe it feels like you're drunk, and then you just pass out. Never know. Like
I
no.
doubt that.
Well, I mean, I trust your word because you've been in the army, so you probably know like more stuff about that than we do.
Well, I think you like reading about it. I think you become like sluggish. Like, I don't know if
Is it kind of like
feels good or bad. I don't know.
like-
going from a high pressure environment to a low pressure environment?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
You get the bends.
I feel like I knew at one point because that was a concern while I was in because they're like, you need to hydrate because it's hot and you're gonna die, and then you had to make sure people weren't overhydrating.
Right. Makes sense.
At one point, I probably knew the side effects, but
Like Darcy says,
Not anymore.
everything in moderation.
Yep. Everything has to be,
gaming.
everything has to be moderated. Too much of anything, even if it's good for you, can kill you. Can be detrimental.
kind of
I
as
think
a,
I read an
go ahead.
I think I read an article like once every few months about someone in some place, usually China, where someone's been gaming for like 70, 80, 100 hours and they're just dead.
That might not be the gaming itself. That's probably has to do with what they're taking to stay awake for that amount of time. Because
Possible.
or you do need sleep on a regular basis. I used
Well,
to
I
stay
can
awake-
imagine trying to stay awake for like 100 hours just playing a game. I would die.
I've stayed awake for 72 a few times. It
You were probably
definitely
close to dying. Did you get any heart palpitations? Anything weird?
probably.
I would say it also has to do with if you stay in your seat the whole time. Your brain has a chance of being messed up, but you also have like physical health concerns because if you stay seated for too long, you can get blood clots that then dislodge and go to your brain, and you stroke out and die.
Actually, I wasn't sitting at my computer for it. I kept going to the kitchen, cooking things, working
Right,
out.
but-
I was being active, and it's just my brain never wanted to rest. And
I was more talking about the guys that you see.
yeah, the ones doing
games,
the
yeah.
gaming old, yeah.
I mean, that shit will wreck your heart, and it's not just like oh, okay, I'm gonna stay up for 3 days, 4 days, and then I'm just gonna go to sleep, and it'll make up for it. I'll sleep for like 20 hours. There is damage done to your body, to your heart, that just can't be repaired instantly after sleeping. It probably takes your body a month just to recover from that.
Probably a lot longer than that.
Yeah, there might even be long-term side effects that I don't even know about, or we don't even know about.
Yeah, and we're not even counting the use of like a drug or a drink that keeps you awake for that amount of time. Because those,
Oh yeah.
like you drink
Energy
too many
drinks.
energy drinks and those will screw up your heart. Well, it's not
Yeah,
just
for
energy
sure.
drink. Well, coffee as well, caffeine, all of that. They do damage to you over time. And this is something interesting is I remember reading something that the DEA stated that if they got ahead of coffee, they would have controlled it.
But if as a narcotic? You
Yeah, it's
mentioned
essentially
DEA.
it's essentially a class 1 substance, which is right up there with cocaine. So,
Is it though?
yeah.
I mean, it's not like you get high off drinking coffee.
You don't? It's caffeine. It brings your body into an altered state.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I just never thought about it like that because, I mean, everyone drinks coffee.
Yeah, and everyone in the States, well, everywhere is worried about the use of drugs and this and that. And yet, how many of these people that worry about drugs drink coffee on a daily basis? Maybe just a single cup.
Here's a question. You know how you get you create a what's it called again? Basically, if you drink coffee a lot, you grow it becomes less effective on you.
You build up a tolerance to it.
Right, a tolerance. There you go. So
This falls back to the everything in moderation thing.
right, that's good reference. But does that work for energy drinks and does it work for like
Yes.
Yeah.
cocaine?
Cocaine,
if I
it's
take
chasing
cocaine
the
every
dragon.
day-
It's chasing the dragon.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you're right. You're right. Yeah. That's interesting. And I've read a little bit about caffeine, and there's 3 types of like effects that it has on people, or not 3 effects, but 3 different like variances, I guess. So there's like people who it like caffeine has a great impact on. It affects your heart, your mind, your body as a whole. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's like caffeine has 0 impact on some people, where they'll drink it and your heart rate won't increase. Everything will just stay the same. It would be like drinking water to them.
Right. We all have different biochemistry as well. So, I mean, with different biochemistry, different elements, coffee included, are going to have different effects on you. Like, maybe not purely different, but I mean, have you
Oh
ever
God,
seen,
he's destroying my base.
a
have you
big
ever
dude,
seen
man.
certain people do,
Is that a boss?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure you've noticed that your
Darcy,
friends, if they have a certain type of drink, it affects them differently than another. I mean, you can have 2 alcoholic drinks, give them to the same person, and one might make them all happy and fun. You give them something else, and they could get all angry and tired.
Right. Is that a physiological thing or is that a personality thing though?
What's the difference?
One, they have no choice. The other one is a choice.
So then what's the... Okay, so let's take a pill. Okay, so you're taking Tylenol, cures your headache. What if it was just a sugar pill and you had placebo effect? I mean, there's a certain point where, well, your body and your mind are linked, and your mind is more powerful than you think. If you think something's going to work or cause a certain effect, even at a subconscious level, it is more likely to have that effect than not.
You could probably say the same thing for a lot of stuff because your mind controls
Everything.
everything basically. Yeah. You know what? Somebody will have to do a study on that. Some college or university. You have to.
Right, but there's studies done on so many different things. There's papers written at such an incredible rate across the globe that
Yeah.
it's too much data to be parsed. And without this data being parsed and read like by the governments and actually making choices for society, effectively it's all moot. I mean, unless you're going to keep up reading every single medical journal, you have to
Well,
sort
that's
of...
why people get paid the big bucks in government, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, they get paid the big bucks to create arguments so that nothing ever gets done and they just stagnate.
Well, they're supposed to keep up with this stuff. Isn't that what they're being paid for?
we elect them to do all sorts of things, but how many of these changes are actually good that they actually come across in doing? Most of these people are backed by, they're like companies bribing them or influencing them. Like, we'll fund your election campaign, and what we're looking for is, you to give a pass on this or something
I
like that.
apologize for bringing up a political topic.
Yeah, it's just the whole political system has so much potential to be corrupt. It's very hard to believe that everything is pure.
Reminds me of I was watching Daredevil. Oh, apparently, okay, Daredevil season 2 came out on Friday, and I was thinking about people getting blackmailed all over the place in Daredevil. Cops, like gang members, so good guys, bad guys, they all get blackmailed at some point. And I was thinking about like how easy it would be to blackmail someone, and creating some kind of a scale or a survey people can take that shows how easy they can be blackmailed. So like,
different people have different moral standings, so they're going to be more difficult to blackmail. But I will agree that I don't remember where this is a quote from, but I remember a movie quote where it's everybody has a price.
sounds familiar. But yeah, you're right. It's like, but like, that's granted. But I'm saying like, how easy it would be to blackmail you based on just a couple factors like your job status, like what your job is, your family status, how many relatives you have, your direct family, like your wife or your children.
Right, but you're trying to quantify how much you're going to pay because you have a number of relatives. But I mean, what about people that don't have a lot of friends or family, but they value them higher than those that have a lot but don't have as much value for them?
Well, this isn't supposed to be specific science. It's more of a probability model that can tell you how likely it would be for you with your specific set of circumstances to be blackmailed. So I'm not trying to pinpoint like each individual person and have an accurate scientific reading. It's more like, okay, so you're working, right? It's well, not approximation. It's like more statistical model. Like, you're working a certain job, you're earning, maybe $50,000 a year. How replaceable you are in that job and different factors related to it. And like, obviously, if you have a family, some threatens your family, you're more likely to buckle under whatever they're trying to get you to do. So there's so many factors in there. Whereas someone like, I don't know, like, but then on the other end of the spectrum, if you have someone who's homeless with no family, you can blackmail them pretty easily, right? Here, it's like, take this $1,000. Don't even have to give them that much money because they're homeless, and just they can go appear in court, say something that I tell them to say, and then that's it.
But I think I'm going to fall back on what I said, whereas everybody has a price, but they also have their moral standing. And
it's hard to quantify moral standing in a survey.
Right, but the thing is, you'd have to pay less for something if you also misleading somebody. So if you didn't tell them the full truth, and it's like, okay, we just need you to say that you've taken this and it gave you no effects. And you can just not have to say that the effects would only show up if you took it for 2 months straight or something.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, if you don't give somebody full information and you're asking them to say something, then they could actually justify it as, hey, this is actually true. Because
it sounds like you're talking about...
But it's a moral justification. And that's what I'm saying is everybody has different moral standings. And this is going to alter their price point.
Reminds me of a Fugitive. Harrison Ford. Remember how the dude he's working with on some drug trial, he's falsifying the drug results, trying to get his drug approved, and
well,
then
that's the kind of thing that can happen.
Frames Harrison Ford for murdering his wife.
Okay, one second. Why are you doing the movie reference, like the synopsis? Isn't Thomas better for this? We haven't heard from him in like hours.
Sure. Okay, so Thomas is not here right now. He'll be back. So we'll ask him later. But I really want to talk about Daredevil. I brought it up a little earlier, and Daredevil season 2 came out last Friday. Have you guys seen it?
I have not. I haven't watched that one yet, but the last time I've seen Daredevil was the movie. It was a few years back.
Oh,
You guys
God.
have Netflix, right?
Oh yeah, I mean I have it available to me. It's just I haven't watched it.
It's a great show. You should watch it. It's not the highest budget show out there, but it's also, I mean, you can tell at certain areas where they reuse sets and they try to cut back here and there, but they do a really good job of masking that. Like, it is a television show after all, and they don't have like a $300 million budget or something. Season 2 is great, by the way. I feel that season 2 hits a stride a lot better, a lot faster than season 1 did. And there is something at the very end of season 2 which matches almost exactly where season 1 hit, where for the entirety of season 1, this is a little bit of a spoiler for you guys since you haven't seen it, but for the entirety of season 1, he's wearing this suit essentially that he made himself. And it's just like a black shirt with some black like mask that he just tied around his head to cover his face. At the very end of season 1, or sorry, go ahead.
How did he know what color he was making it?
That is a good question.
I get it. Because he's blind.
Well, there's a lot of
Sorry.
stuff.
Sorry.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the series that makes you wonder, like, how does he know that? Because he's blind. But you know what? They can take some liberties here and there, because if he was truly blind, there would be a lot of problems with the show.
Well, one thing I do remember from the Daredevil movie that I actually really liked is something as simple as the money in his wallet. He folded them all different ways so he know the denomination.
Right. Like, they actually, like, research how blind people live.
Yeah.
Or, you could just move to Canada.
We have Braille on our money?
Braille, yeah, where we actually have Braille on
What?
our money. So
Seriously?
Yes. We also have
Yeah.
plastic money that you can like go swimming with it in your pocket and it comes out fine. You can put it through the washing machine, comes out fine.
What? You can do that, but you probably don't want to do that.
Well, no, I'm not saying you intentionally should be washing your money because, money laundering and all.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
Sounds right to me. Money laundering. No, I get what you're saying, but it's just So one of the complaints about this polymer money is that it doesn't fold the same way that paper money does because
it doesn't.
because it's plastic, right? And there's also an issue where the money sticks together sometimes, especially like the fresh bills, because they're plastic and they're completely smooth. They kind of stick to each other. But I think that problem sort of work itself out over time as people crumple up that cash.
Yeah, I mean, as they get a little bit of wear on them, they don't stick as well.
Right. Their regular paper cash had that same problem. If it's like fresh bills, they still kind of like grip together sometimes.
Okay, so what you're
counting
saying
them.
is the only problem with our plastic money is the same problem with our paper money.
Yeah, basically.
So we have a superior currency. Oh, this is actually
Paper currency is probably dead in like 50 years, but yeah, okay.
Right. I mean, the plastic will be too. Everything will be essentially digital. But
No, but that's what I mean. I mean like paper and plastic, just like physical currency, not.
right. And coin. Like we got rid of the penny.
We
Good.
did.
We need to.
You
Dude.
guys don't you guys still have $1 bills in the States?
Yeah, $1
We have
bills and
toonies.
pennies.
We have toonies and loonies.
$1 bills. Like, what is the
What?
point of that?
$1 bills are still useful. It's the penny that's
What?
it costs like 2.5 cents for every penny they create.
That's
Right.
why the Canadian government got rid of the penny, because it's so pointless.
It
Yeah.
made millions and millions of dollars to get rid of the penny.
Yeah.
Did it make money? What do you mean?
Yes, it actually made money to get rid of the penny. Because
You
when they
decide
took
they
him
didn't
out of
lose as much
circulation,
money?
no, when they took him out of circulation, they had all of this like metal.
Copper.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They could like smelt that and sell
that-
it.
as you said, instead of it costing 2.5 cents to make a penny, you smelt it back down, and you might not have your full 2.5 cents. You might have 2 cents for every one. So you're doubling your money for taking pennies out of circulation. Oh, something else is, I believe Russia got rid of daylight savings time. This is another huge step forward. This is something that the whole world needs to do because it's a little ridiculous when, like, I understand going from time zone to time zone, but I mean, if, like in Europe, you've got a whole bunch of countries tightly packed together. If you're going through daylight savings time and time zone changes, which I actually had a relative go through this, they missed their flight by an hour because of this. Daylight savings time and a time change. So, I mean, that kind of shit happens. And it's kind of unfortunate. It really is. And we're talking about having a global market. It's kind of pain in the ass when you already have to, translate the time zone. But when you're also saying, okay, well, what about daylight savings time too? We have to unify around the globe. And that's going to be a huge, huge thing. And another thing we have to unify is the fucking metric system. 99.9% of the countries in the world use it. Seriously, America, you should have changed when we did.
Well, sure, I agree with that, but I think Americans are pretty set in their ways, and
Yeah, you don't like your base 10 system for easy math. You'd rather calculate how many feet per mile is. Nick, how many feet are in a mile?
5,280.
Okay.
One
What?
mile is
how would
one
you
mile.
calculate this?
1 mile is 1,700 meters.
Okay.
That's great.
Did you know that there's 1,000 kilometers?
Yeah.
Or sorry, 1,000 meters in a kilometer.
You're making
It's so
it sound,
simple.
You're making it sound like that the American population are the people who decide what we're doing. Like, no.
You voted these people in, and why did they not change? Were they bought out? Were they paid for?
Probably.
Was there a vote for this metric system when it
Nothing.
came in? What was it, like 80s or something?
Probably. I don't know. I really don't know all that much about the history behind the metric system and all that stuff. But I do know, like, daylight savings time, there was a reason for it before.
Right. It was for farmers, and it
Right.
had to do with power consumption.
Power
There
consumption.
still is a reason for it now.
No, there
Power-
not
No,
Not on
power-
the global market.
It was like power consumption, and also like if you look at like the hours they worked because of daylight compared to like the hours of the local businesses, they didn't line up, and so like they couldn't go to
Right, that
the
makes
bank
sense.
and stuff because the bank was closed while they were out in the field, or when they weren't out in the field, and things of that nature. That's one of the reasons behind it. But all of it, like, there's no reason to keep it at this point.
Right. It's just an offset for no reason. It's screwing up things more than it's helping.
Well, I've never tried having no daylight savings time, so I can't really give a proper opinion on that until I actually try it out. But I think it wouldn't be too bad.
Like, honestly, what is the gain now? I mean, yeah, sure. Sometimes in the winter, we don't see sunlight if you're like inside from 8 to 5. And that's like a terrible part of, when you're living far away from the equator. But it happens. It's not going to.
Well, then
it
you
doesn't
can have,
change.
Why don't you leave it up to the businesses then? The businesses can just say we operate on this time zone. It's
So
whatever
you're
EST,
saying-
and we don't take into account.
My argument earlier was to unify the global market. And if every business is operating differently, then it's not going to work. You can't say that,
You can.
no. Okay, so you're walking down the street. There's a bank. Okay, it's open from 9 to 5. Now, next door, they have a a grocery store, it's open from 9 to 5, but the 9 to 5 that the grocery store is open is non-daylight savings time. How does that work?
Easy. You just put the proper time zone behind it.
Are you really wanting to translate time zone, or not translate time zone, but like calculate time zone?
You're
Like if
thinking
you're planning your
retail
day,
store.
if
In
you're
my
trying-
mind, go on.
if you're trying
Sorry.
to plan out your day, going down the street and say, okay, I'm going to go to town. I want to do my shopping, banking, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go at 4. Well, what if daylight savings time just screwed you up because the bank already closed, even though it said it was open till 5? Because you forgot to...
You're still bringing up retail. I'm talking about like, what if it's us and our business is content creators for YouTube?
We're already on a global time. Like, we're doing digital. There is no hours of opening, hours of closing for what
Exactly.
you're talking about.
Exactly.
So we could
All
run
there
off of
is
friggin' Zulu time.
Well, there is technically a time because we still need to figure out what time we're going to be working. So we could just
Why?
say that we work on like a certain time and we stay on that standard time. And no matter where the time zone switches an hour ahead, an hour back, we still meet up at that same time.
Right. But I mean,
So that is
We're
actually
already
a business.
doing that.
You can alter a business.
we're already doing that. We have, like, in our group, we're working with people across multiple time zones. So we meet up
Technically-
in Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Technically, the times did change, and we did change the time that we record at.
It's the same time on the clock, but the clock changed. So
Right. We're actually an hour ahead from where we started like months back.
fair enough. But why? Like, why are we why do we still have daylight savings time? It's not, we gain no benefit from it as a society.
I wouldn't say we gain no benefit. Don't think ever like. There's definitely some benefit there. I just like maybe it's a heating benefit, maybe it's a
Not
lighting
anymore.
benefit.
Not anymore.
I don't know. I really don't know. Nick, do you have an opinion on this?
I think it's completely worthless. I would say I don't know why it's still around.
Well, Russia got rid of it, and we always think of them as being behind technologically. They must know something we
we?
don't. I don't know.
Russia launches rockets. Canada
Yeah.
doesn't have a rocket launching system.
America built this spaceship. It's like, hey, what could we do out here? I don't know. Canada's like, hey, we'll give you an arm. We might
What
not
do you
have the
mean,
rockets.
We'll give you a hand.
Yes.
I'm laughing at my own joke. I'm unpathetic. All right.
So no, don't have our own shuttles and ships, but we're still doing a lot of things. And as you are right, Russia does have, proper, like a space program. America's shutting down their space program, and now it's open to public market. NASA is still going to be doing deep space things, but they're running satellites. That's essentially all they're doing is satellites and probes. The actual getting up into space is not going to be done by NASA very soon.
They're still working on it.
For
They
now,
have the,
until the
moon mission planned for what 2020 something like that, 2025 or something.
I thought the
9 years from now.
yeah, but I thought the plan was to downsize NASA and have the private sector take over, and NASA's
Right,
gonna,
right. Like basically like the launching of rockets.
right,
But NASA still does a lot of R&D and planning for those missions.
right.
It might be
They're
NASA
not
will build
doing
a
the launching.
capsule.
They're not
right,
doing
and-
any launches.
A third party will do the launch, and it's been like that for a while now. Like
Right.
certain things NASA just gives to another country and says, "Here, launch this."
Yeah, I mean, what is it? When Hadfield came back, wasn't that on a Russian rocket? Wasn't it?
Soyuz? I'm not sure about that.
When he came back,
I don't know enough.
I don't
about this.
remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to open up this field to competition.
Okay, so let's
SpaceX.
this is a global market we're talking about, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
America is now contracting out stuff to Russia, which, Okay, it happens. Now, Russia's now not doing a time shift. This is another company that's going to have to figure out no daylight savings time with Russia. So it's going to be...
Wait, you're talking about like launching stuff into space here. Is there time zones involved? It's literally just
It would be Zulu.
whenever it's
No, you'd be...
good to launch that rocket. Whenever the
No.
weather is good, whenever
Right.
there's
Okay.
daylight, whenever,
You'd be
you know,
worried about the time zone based
the
off of where
orbits
the
are
rocket
aligned.
is launching from, the country that the rocket, and the location that the rocket is launching from. However,
Right.
when you're up in space, you're going to be synchronized to a Zulu time. Like, I keep saying that, and I believe that's Greenwich Mean Time without daylight savings time is a Zulu time.
Yes,
Right?
correct. Yep.
Okay, so why? So I'm not saying that we get rid of our own time zones, but I think we should just be like Eastern Time is -5 Zulu. Just set it as that. Simple.
Well, then I think that if a business makes that change, I think it could snowball into something bigger. Like a business makes the change,
The only
which makes
businesses-
the people working for the business make that change, which makes the customers make that change, which makes other businesses make that change to match that business,
But that's
which
the thing.
snowballs into society making that change, and then eventually the government will adopt that policy because everyone's already made that change in their minds.
Okay, so the only companies that I can see actually making this are things that are tech-based right now. Maybe if Microsoft, Android, social media sites, if these all went to no time zones, or not no time zone, no daylight savings, that would be the only way to do it. That's the only way you can get enough of a hook to pull all of society over.
It doesn't necessarily have to be it doesn't have to start with a big company. It could just be a small like, indie developer, let's say, with like 12 employees. And,
Okay.
you know, Engadget, Wired, or Ars Technica, or Gizmodo, or whatever, one of the like The Verge, or one of the like dozen of tech sites reports that this company is actually, you know, doing something different, is more productive now or somehow because of no time zones, blah, blah, blah. And that can lead to a snowballing effect with other businesses incorporating that. And, you know, maybe eventually it'll get to Microsoft and those bigger companies.
Okay, so it actually would be better if they gave people the option to run without daylight savings time on all of their devices, so that everybody can personally make this choice if they so wish.
Sure. Well, there is an option to not have it automatically do daylight savings on your phone.
But here's the
You
other
can
thing:
turn
is
that off.
we're
you-
overlooking something important. We have a society that's like completely based off of connectivity on the internet, like just data connection. And you actually run into sync errors if your time zone is different than the time zone of like if you're trying to watch Netflix and your clock is off by an hour, the wrong time zone, it will not synchronize. You cannot watch anything. So yeah,
Yep.
there are some systems that will prevent progression, even if it was allowed.
That's the same with everything, though. Like, we were talking about the Imperial metric system before. There are systems in place with just simple stuff like buying drywall or something that would be difficult to switch from because everything is in like half inch or
Agreed.
like
But
Right,
if you
but you're-
5/8.
But
Look
but you were just saying that you need people to start doing it. Well, no one's going to do it because
Actually,
their
people
lives are
have.
going to be hell.
No. A lot of American things have started switching to metric. If you look at science and medicine around the world, everything is metric.
Right.
Yeah, like in
milligrams,
my
right?
in my chemistry class, we're forced to use metric because
Yeah,
my teacher's
well,
just like, why
Chemistry
use?
is always metric, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know what a kilopascal is?
What?
He was an artist.
He must
No.
be starving.
No, I don't.
Don't worry about it. Darcy's beard.
Yep. Well, that's a given.
So you're finally back. Where did you
Yeah.
go? Where
I
did
had
you
to go on a
Thomas?
little adventure.
Give us a report.
A report back.
Was the venture a success?
It was. It took a lot longer than I wanted it to, though.
So you're saying you took a dump.
Basically.
All right.
Only logical explanation.
We don't want to know. Don't tell us.
Okay.
So a new X-Men trailer came out this week. It had a lot of new footage. I'm talking about X-Men Apocalypse. It showed a little more of the fight between Apocalypse and the Professor in the mansion, which I suspect is when they become psychically linked. Which, if you guys watched like the cartoons, like any of the cartoons, like that always happens.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse is a very, very strong telepath. So entering his mind is very dangerous.
Dangerous and risky, but adventurous and free.
What?
But
It's from a cartoon show that I used to watch.
what show?
Flapjack. I don't know. It was one of these shows on like Cartoon Network.
All right, never heard of it. All right,
I regret
reference.
watching it.
I'll just say good reference because I don't know the reference.
In a few years, you should check out this show called Archer. You might be able to watch it then.
Archer. Okay, I've seen this show.
Whoa. Did you press the button that says, "Are you over 18?"
What?
You know, it's like getting into a porn site. Even that somebody that's 12 knows how to click the button that says, "Yes, I'm 18."
Did you know that none of that stuff's actually legally binding?
Wait, really? I thought it was.
Nope. When
Why
the
is it-
barrier to entry is like one button press, that is not legally binding. It's like that shit that they toss at you sometimes to like sign. And it's just like if everyone just fucking signs it really quickly without reading it, it just sort of becomes this thing where it doesn't actually legally bind you because it's just this thing that everyone does.
Wait, so what you're saying is...
Kind of like terms of agreement.
Right. Do you
We're
remember the
just
start...
like accept.
Or sorry, do you remember the South Park episode?
Which one?
The
one
one
where-
about the... Oh, is it the human centipede?
What?
I kind of remember it, but you have to. It's the one where
The Apple Terms of Agreement.
Kyle.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Kyle gets roped into this human centipede. That was a fucked up episode.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
in the new Apple's agreement that got updated, there's somewhere in it now that says that you're not allowed to own, produce, or distribute any nuclear weapons. So, guess I'm
fine.
breaking the law. No.
There was some TOS I was reading about a couple months back, and they had some like I think it was Google's. They added something about like the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Why would anyone even read those? Like, it's so long.
Actually, I used to read ones for certain games because if you were worried about breaking the terms of service, like I played World of Warcraft a lot, and I had a character that had a lot of really rare items, like mounts and stuff that were not attainable. And
What did you want to know though from reading it?
I wanted to know like what was breaking the rules and whatnot, because I mean, my friends were all, well, not all, but I had certain friends that were doing things like botting and scripting and other things like that. I knew botting was against the terms of service. That was laid out simply. But there were certain other scripts that people were using that were borderline. And certain games, like the four of us, we came together through PlanetSide 2. And in PlanetSide 2, there's actually terms of use that say that you cannot use any software that interacts with the program, which is fine. However, they actually have a list of green-lit programs that you can use that, even if you're using these, are not going to compromise your account, and Recursion Stat Tracker is one of them. Now, a while back on Reddit, a bunch of people were using this other software to probe into PlanetSide 2 and, you know, dump out all of the data. And I'm like, is this against the terms of service? And all these Redditors downvoted the shit out of me, and all I wanted to do is say, don't lose your accounts, dumbasses.
Was it against the...
Why would you bother
terms?
warning them? I would just be like, go ahead, do it, that's great. And then afterwards, you could just laugh at all of them because they all get banned. It's I don't know, maybe it's just the jackass in me that wants to see that happen.
Yeah.
Snipe, I
No
would have
comment.
blocked it off so they went the northern path through the S-bend.
Wait, will they
Delete
break
now.
the walls to go the other way, or will they only go
Only
the
bosses.
non?
Yeah, it looks like I think the bosses can break through because I saw that before.
Oh, okay.
So this is finally a mission I haven't played yet. So I actually have to think, and it hurts.
Oh no.
Oh no, thinking hurts. You know, we forgot to mention before the whole reason why we did the whole 2001 and Lord of the Rings Easter eggs was because it's Easter. Where were we? X-Men Apocalypse trailer, good trailer, lots of new footage.
There was a lot happening. I was a little confused.
Nick, what's up with the
amount of
Hellboy hand?
stuff.
I think Apocalypse is one of the X-Men's greatest villains. Aside from Magneto, which sometimes he's a villain, sometimes he's an ally. So
Isn't he more of an anti-hero?
Yeah, I was confused about that. Like,
Whoops.
is he a good guy or a
depends
bad
on
guy?
your perspective. You just dropped the turret on yourself and it landed on your head.
Maybe.
Bills. Pay the bills.
But yeah, Apocalypse, great villain, extremely powerful. He has size manipulation, force field projection. Like he has so much things. He can like. I remember in the 90s cartoons, he can create weapons with his hands. He can grow his body to be the size of a building. And basically anything that you attack him with just bounces off his body.
I was
how
going to
do
make
you
some inappropriate
defeat
comments off
him?
of that.
Hey. Children
No, I
are
get what you're
around.
Yes, that's why I'm refraining. You came back, and we can't talk about anything interesting anymore. Unless you click the button that says "I am over 18." Click.
Okay. Where's the button?
Oh.
I can't find the button.
Uh oh.
So Thomas, what were you gonna say?
How do you defeat him? Because I'm not a huge X-Men guy. Like, I've seen the movies, but I don't like all of
Usually-
that hard.
Usually he's not defeated 100%, but you stop his evil plan to do whatever, and then he ends up retreating because there's no point in fighting anymore, basically, because you stopped his plan. There
There's
was
no
that
way to
episode-
kill him? Because, like, in the trailer, they're like, he's a god. Is he actually a god? Or, like, I was confused.
I don't think I've never seen him killed before. I mean, it might be possible if you have another strong enough mutant. But I remember that like there was one episode where Apocalypse was kidnapping all the telepaths on Earth and using them to create this some kind of energy thing, and they ended up turning it against him, and all the telepaths end up trapping him in some other dimension or something like that. But still, he's not dead though. They trapped him. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he's really powerful. And the Four Horsemen, I think they made great choices with the horsemen themselves, like the characters themselves. So they have Magneto, Storm,
So wait,
Psylocke.
you're saying that they have religious themes in X-Men? Four Horsemen
What
of
do you mean?
Apocalypse?
Oh, Four Horsemen. Right, and then they also you watched the trailer, right? They mentioned in
Nope.
the trailer that
Boy.
oh bitch.
Fail.
They mentioned in the trailer that like was the Bible modeled after him, or was he modeled after the Bible? Like that one part.
Maybe time is somewhat cyclical. I mean, not that time repeats itself, but a lot of the events are cyclical in nature.
Well, that's another thing with Apocalypse, because he actually
Whoa.
goes into hibernation for like every 1,000 years or something, or for 1,000 years. So he'll go into his pyramid and he'll go into like this bed, and he'll just sleep for 1,000 years.
So maybe
I feel like
he-
I would sleep for 1,000 years if I could.
I'm surprised you didn't go AFK when we started talking about intelligent things.
All right, but yeah, good movie. A good trailer. Should be a good movie.
So, what do you think about them using Apocalypse Now, though? Because this is like the main biggest bad dude, right? So, where are they gonna go
This
next?
is supposed to be the last movie in the trilogy, so there's no next.
They're just gonna take a break, wait for a while, and then reset the franchise.
Yep,
Gotcha.
that's what I've been reading.
This makes sense then.
Okay, so how do you guys feel about franchise resets? Because I mean, there's a lot of, well, it's something that Disney even does, where they refresh a movie based on new technology to produce.
I'm iffy about it. Some movies, I think it's okay.
I'm fine with it.
Not so much.
People love watching the same stories being retold over and over, and they will pay good money for it. It's been proven.
Yeah.
There are certain story types, like, you know, the Jesus archetype, Robin Hood style. What's the other one? Like the like the knight and the princess. I don't know what to call that. Yeah, there's all types, and you can mix and match different ones as well, like merge them together and create a new story from them.
They're like Transformers.
People love that stuff.
Right, but this can fall back onto something that was said, is that nothing new has been created in media for like the last 30 years. And I believe it's much longer than that, because a lot of these movie themes were originally done in like Shakespearean time. We're not movie
Well, I
theme
wouldn't
exactly,
say-
but I mean
just
we're running off
there is
of
a lot of
variants.
unique stuff still. It's not like, I mean, even if you thought, like I brought up combining two stories together and creating something new and adding elements to it, like doing
Right.
like Harry Potter or something, that's still something new. Even though you combine different elements together to bring a new story to the table.
I suppose, but there's certain storytelling themes that are constantly being repeated. And even if you look
Sure.
at music, there's a lot of chords that get repeated.
If you look at music lyrics, they're basically gotten crappier and crappier as time
Yeah, they just
went on.
repeat the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, it's because every generation just needs a voice to say the same thing. It's like love crap, love sucks, love's great. Am I wrong here?
Love, sex, drugs, basically.
Sure, I mean sex more recently, like maybe starting from the 60s or something, but you know. Historically, like you don't hear Beethoven playing about sex unless one of his songs was about sex and we just didn't get it.
Well,
It was for Elise.
I would say his songs didn't have lyrics.
It's just
Well, he could have
Piano.
been playing like, you know, he wrote this song when he was like boning. This is a boning song. The beat for the rhythm for the song will be like, it'll be good for when you're boning.
So what you're saying is you need to
What?
hire this like full orchestra to play music to have sex to.
Yeah. It could literally be like he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this beat, and it's literally gonna be like this is the beat that you're gonna have when you're fucking. Anyways, it's a very strange topic.
hey,
Probably the end of the podcast. Happy Easter to anyone out there who celebrates Easter. And
if you don't
happy
celebrate Easter, happy day. I don't know.
right, happy day, happy week, happy month, whatever you celebrate. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Later. Like, subscribe, comment.
You always got to look up to your parents who passed college without Google. They
They
had to, like-
passed college. Can you go back to English, please?
Well, like, you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I hate the dictionary, like using a dictionary and stuff like that.
We had to use dictionaries in a book back in the day.
I know.
Oh,
like,
man.
I can't even think about that. Now I just ask Siri. It's like Siri,
God.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
how do I spell
Oh
this?
man, Microsoft Encarta.
Oh my
Encarta
god.
95. You guys remember
I
that
had,
shit?
I had an idea.